Welcome to APush for 5, your shortcut to mastering the AP U.S. history exam. Let's jump into period 4, 1800 to 1848, where America transformed through democracy, reform, and growth. Question 1. Stimulus. The recent demonstration of public sentiment inscribes upon the list of executive duties that of reform in the administration of the government. Andrew Jackson, Inaugural Address, 1829. Question. In this statement, Jackson most clearly signaled his intention to A. Institute congressional checks to prevent patronage abuse in federal appointments. B. Replace entrenched elites with loyal supporters to democratize public service. C. Reform civil service hiring based on merit and professional qualifications. D. Guarantee political representation for minority factions within the executive branch. The correct answer is B. Replace entrenched elites with loyal supporters to democratize public service. Jackson justified the spoils system, rotating office holders to open government to the common man. A and C describe opposite reform goals, and D conflicts with his populist majoritarian outlook. Question 2. Stimulus. A political cartoon titled King Andrew I, 1833, shows Jackson trampling the Constitution while wielding a veto. Question. The artist's main criticism of Jackson centers on his A. Reliance on popular mandates to justify extra-constitutional actions. B. Efforts to defend the Union during the nullification crisis through strong leadership. C. Use of executive privilege to resist judicial oversight and congressional constraints. D. Attempts to stabilize the economy through reliance on the National Bank. The correct answer is C. Use of executive privilege to resist judicial oversight and congressional constraints. Jackson's critics saw his vetoes and refusal to enforce Worcester versus Georgia as autocratic. B refers to his nationalism, not the critique. A is partly true but emphasizes populism over constitutional breach. D reverses his position. Question 3. Stimulus. The state of South Carolina declares the Tariff Acts null, void, and no law. Ordinance of Nullification, 1832. Question. This document most directly reflects which constitutional principle? A. Idea that the states, as sovereign entities, could judge the constitutionality of federal laws. B. Belief that the Supreme Court alone could arbitrate constitutional conflicts between states and the Union. C. Claim that protective tariffs unfairly advantaged northern manufacturers over the South. D. Assertion that the executive's veto authority could nullify judicial decisions. The correct answer is A. Idea that the states, as sovereign entities, could judge the constitutionality of federal laws. Calhoun's compact theory justified nullification as a state right rooted in original sovereignty. B refers to judicial review, not state interposition. C describes tariff fairness, not principle. D misstates executive power. Question 4. Stimulus. The rich and powerful, too, often bend the acts of government to their selfish purposes. Andrew Jackson, Bank Veto Message, 1832. Question. In this message, Jackson portrayed himself as A. Champion of the common man against privileged financial elites. B. Advocate for state banking systems to undermine federal economic power. C. Supporter of moderate tariffs to promote domestic manufacturing. D. Defender of corporate partnerships to encourage national credit expansion. The correct answer is A. Champion of the common man against privileged financial elites. Jackson framed the bank as an aristocratic threat to democracy. B and C address tariffs, not banking. D contradicts his destruction of the bank. Question 5. Stimulus. The Cherokee Nation is a distinct community in which the laws of Georgia can have no force. Chief Justice Marshall, Worcester versus Georgia, 1832. Question. Jackson's response to this ruling demonstrated: A. Supreme Court's reinforcement of executive primacy over Native affairs. B. Congressional endorsement of Native treaties protecting land ownership. C. Presidential refusal to uphold judicial rulings affirming tribal sovereignty. D. Public opposition that prevented implementation of removal policies. The correct answer is C. Presidential refusal to uphold judicial rulings affirming tribal sovereignty. Jackson defied the court, enabling the Indian Removal Act and the Trail of Tears. A and B misread federal reactions. D ignores the policy's broad support. Question 6. Stimulus. Equality of conditions gives a peculiar direction to public opinion and a peculiar character to the laws. Alexis de Tocqueville, Democracy in America, 1835. Question. Tocqueville's observation reflected which reality of Jacksonian America? A. State constitutions expanded property rights for all classes of citizens regardless of race. B. Industrial growth created new social hierarchies that replaced older aristocracies. C. Abolitionist efforts brought widespread Northern acceptance of racial equality. D. Political equality for white men coexisted with exclusion of women, free blacks, and Native peoples. The correct answer is D. Political equality for white men coexisted with exclusion of women, free blacks, and Native peoples. Tocqueville admired democratic equality, yet recognized its limits. Racial and gender exclusion persisted. A through C contradict historical facts. Question 7. Stimulus. The people and not the bank are the true source of power in this republic. Albany Argus Editorial, 1837. Question. This statement most directly supports which belief? A. Federal power should prioritize infrastructure investment over private enterprise. B. Concentrated financial power endangers democratic self-government and equality. C. Decentralized credit markets strengthen Republican virtue and regional autonomy. D. Stable currency depends primarily on executive regulation of the money supply. The correct answer is B. Concentrated financial power endangers democratic self-government and equality. Jacksonians viewed the national bank as anti-democratic. A and C praise institutions they opposed. D reflects Whig thinking. Question 8. Stimulus. We are compelled to leave the land of our fathers. We look back upon the graves we must leave. Cherokee Leader's Letter, 1838. Question. This letter describes the result of A. Purchase of Western territories from France under Jefferson's administration. B. Compromise that admitted Missouri as a slave state and Maine as free. C. Forced westward migration of native nations under the Indian Removal Act. D. Conflict over annexing Texas into the Union as a slave territory. The correct answer is C. Forced westward migration of native nations under the Indian Removal Act. The Trail of Tears followed the Indian Removal Act, forcing the Cherokee west despite court protection. A, B, and D relate to territorial but not native displacement. Question 9. Stimulus. Liberty and union, now and forever, one and inseparable. Daniel Webster, Reply to Hayne, 1833. Question. Webster's statement responded to which issue? A. Defense of federal supremacy against state attempts to nullify tariffs. B. Advocacy for judicial independence from executive overreach. C. Critique of Southern agricultural dependence on foreign trade. D. Opposition to forced relocation policies affecting southeastern tribes. The correct answer is A. Defense of federal supremacy against state attempts to nullify tariffs. Webster defended federal supremacy against nullification. C and D were separate debates. B concerns a different constitutional check. Question 10. Stimulus. The voice of the people is the voice of God. Democratic Platform slogan, 1840. Question. This slogan illustrates which belief of Jacksonian Democrats? A. Assertion that moral law rather than popular vote should guide government policy. B. Conviction that the will of the people represented the ultimate source of authority. C. Belief that constitutional safeguards limited majority control over institutions. D. Claim that regional minorities deserved enhanced legislative protection. The correct answer is B. Conviction that the will of the people represented the ultimate source of authority. Jacksonians celebrated majoritarian rule, seeing the people's will as sacred. The other choices misstate their populist ethos. Thanks for watching A Push for 5. Let us know in the comments which questions you liked the most. If today's practice helped you, tap like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any future videos. And share this with a friend who's also aiming for that 5. If you want more hands-on learning or direct feedback, reach out directly. We'd love to help you take your prep to the next level. See you in the next video.